Tributes pouring in after the death of Queen Elizabeth today at the age of 96. The UK and many around the world mourning the longest reigning monarch in British history.
And we'll give you a live look at Buckingham Palace, where thousands have been gathering all day from the moment word got out that the royal family was rushing to her bedside, and now hours after the news of her death. And now, after 70 years, her son, Prince Charles, is taking the throne as king.
WGN's Jenna Barnes joins us now with more. Jenna?
Britain now begins a 10-day period of mourning. Most of them have only ever known Queen Elizabeth II as their monarch. And as they grieve her, they also welcome King Charles III. A rainbow appeared over Buckingham Palace as mourners gathered to remember Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in Britain's history. The crowd singing the national anthem, God Save the Queen, well into the night.
She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure.
Prime Minister Liz Truss was the first member of British government to address the monarch's death. The Queen's last public appearance came just 2 days ago, appointing Truss to the role, Queen Elizabeth's 15th Prime Minister appointment.
She has been a personal inspiration to me and to many Britons.
The Queen had been dealing with mobility issues and canceled a virtual meeting Wednesday. Worry grew when the royal family announced doctors placed her under medical supervision because they were concerned about her health. All 4 of her children and her grandsons, Prince William and Prince Harry, traveled to be at her side at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. The royal family announced around 4:30 local time she died peacefully at the estate. British media report the monarch's coffin will lie in Scotland before being flown back to London for a state funeral at Westminster Abbey in 10 days. Upon the Queen's death, her son Charles immediately became king. He said in a statement, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family." He went on to say, "During this period of mourning and change, my family and I will be comforted and sustained by our knowledge of the respect and deep affection in which the Queen was so widely held."
And with the passing of the second Elizabethan age, we usher in a new era in the magnificent history of our great country, exactly as Her Majesty would have wished, by saying the words, God Save the King.
King Charles III's wife, Camilla, will now be the Queen Consort. They plan to leave Scotland tomorrow for London, and there will be many events there in the days ahead leading up to the Queen's funeral. Micah?
Thank you, Jenna. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden visiting the British Embassy in Washington last hour to offer their condolences to staff.
We mourn for all of you. She was a great lady. We're so delighted we got to meet her.
The president signing a condolence book with a photo of the Queen placed on the table. Earlier today, he released a statement calling the Queen a stateswoman of unmatched dignity and pride for generations of Britons.
And the news of her passing is being felt all over the world, including here in Chicago. The Queen actually visited the city back in the early years of her reign.
WGN's Alyssa Donovan joining us now live from the British Consulate with more on that. Alyssa.
Yeah, Ray and Micah, a few people from the UK, whether they are visiting Chicago or living here temporarily, have passed by the British Consulate this afternoon. And we spoke to a few of those people. One man described this as an end of an era. He also said it just felt surreal to learn of the Queen's passing. We also spoke to one woman, just moments after she learned the Queen had died.
It's just very, very sad.
Amber Buchanan, who moved to the city from Britain less than a year ago, was emotional when she learned that Queen Elizabeth had passed away Thursday afternoon. The Queen, a huge part of her and her family's lives back home.
It's just very surreal to not be there with all my friends. Kind of everyone I know is going to London now to stand by the castle and pay their respects, and I don't really know where to go now.
The 96-year-old Queen was placed under medical supervision before passing away at her Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Her death, the end of a significant era to many people in the UK.
I think in a way it was empowering to have a woman being in charge, and also I think just like she's such a kind person and everything you see, like she's so friendly.
And she managed, I think, skillfully, perhaps fitfully at times, but skillfully over the course of her reign to marry both the tradition of the monarchy and her role as a modern woman.
Back in 1959 here in Chicago, hundreds of thousands of people flocked to the lakefront to get a glimpse of the modern queen when she came to the Windy City. It was the first time a reigning British monarch had visited Chicago. During the trip, Elizabeth and her husband, Prince Philip, toured the lakefront, lunched at the Ambassador Hotel, and visited both the Museum of Science and Industry and the Art Institute of Chicago, which is where Fred Lynham was when he learned of the Queen's passing.
Yeah, well, rather strange. I was actually wandering about in the Art Institute and I got a message from my friend.
Lynham then came to the British consulate in search of a feeling of home.
Somehow I gravitated myself towards the British consulate, I guess because I wanted to be, near something British in any sense.
Those from the UK who are here right now say they will take some time today to reflect on the Queen's impact, what she's done for her country and her people throughout her reign.
So not only was she so sort of present in people's lives, but she's part and parcel of the nation, of the country, and how you identify yourself as being English or Scottish, Irish, Welsh or British. She's, an integral part of that.
And that young man I spoke to told me that he'll be back in Britain over the next couple weeks. He was just visiting Chicago. He says he knows it's going to feel very different when he arrives. Now that the Queen has passed, he's going to have to get used to some changes, specifically the change of now saying, "God save the King." Reporting at the British Consulate, Alyssa Donovan, WGN News.